When we think of the greatest two-way players in NHL history, names like Bergeron and Messier dominate the conversation. But what about Pavel Datsyuk? In the pantheon of NHL legends, few players have combined offensive wizardry and defensive mastery quite like Pavel Datsyuk. Yet somehow, the Magic Man remains one of hockey's most underappreciated superstars. Perhaps it was his quiet demeanor, or maybe it was Detroit's gradual decline in his later years. Whatever the reason, it's time to shine a spotlight on one of the most complete players the sport has ever seen. The story of Pavel Datsyuk isn't just about skill, it's about defying expectations. Overlooked in 2 NHL drafts due to his smaller size, Datsyuk was finally spotted by Detroit Red Wings scout Håkan Andersson, who was actually in Moscow to watch another player. As fate would have it, a canceled flight due to a storm meant Andersson was likely the only NHL scout to see Datsyuk play before the 1998 draft, where Detroit selected him 171st overall. Talk about a diamond in the rough. They called him the Magic Man for a reason. For 14 seasons with the Detroit Red Wings, Datsyuk didn't just play hockey, he revolutionized it. But before we dive into his highlight reel moves, let's talk about what truly set him apart: his defensive brilliance. In an era dominated by offensive stars, Datsyuk redefined what it meant to be a two-way forward. His 3 consecutive Selke Trophies from 2008 to 2010 only tell part of the story. He wasn't just nominated in those years, he dominated the voting. In 2008, he received 537 points to John Madden's distant record at 447. His takeaway numbers were even more staggering. In 2007 to 08, he recorded 144 takeaways, a mind-boggling 58 more than second-place Mike Modano. But what made these defensive achievements even more remarkable was that they came while Datsyuk was also among the league's elite offensive players. During the 07 to 08 season, he put up 97 points while leading all forwards in blocked shots. Think about that for a moment. Here was a player who was not only stealing pucks and blocking shots, but also finishing in the top 10 in scoring. NHL legend Jeremy Roenick described playing against Datsyuk as, quote, one of the most frustrating things for any player. While Mike Babcock, who coached some of the greatest players in history, said Datsyuk was the player he wanted on the ice when protecting a lead. Even Los Angeles Kings goaltender Jonathan Quick called him a, quote, master chess player, noting how Datsyuk could see the entire ice and hold on to the puck until the perfect moment. What set Datsyuk apart defensively wasn't just his ability to take the puck away. It was how he did it. While many defensive forwards relied on physicality or aggressive forechecking, Datsyuk's approach was almost surgical. He would lift a stick, poke away a puck, or anticipate a pass with such precision that it sometimes looked like the puck simply chose to follow him instead of his opponent. This defensive genius was recognized by his peers in a way few players ever experience. In the 2011-12 NHL Players Poll, Datsyuk swept nearly every category. His fellow players voted him the smartest player, most difficult to play against, hardest to take the puck from, most difficult to stop, cleanest player, and toughest forward to play against. When your opponents respect you that much, you know you're doing something special. But what made Datsyuk truly special was how he turned defense into offense. His pit pocket moves weren't just about stopping plays, they were the beginning of them. His anticipation and positioning were so precise that he could steal the puck and transition to offense in the blink of an eye, leaving opponents wondering what happened. And once he had the puck, that's when the real magic started. The Datsyukian Dekes became a term unto itself, describing moves so creative and unpredictable that they seemed to defy physics. His ability to handle the puck in tight spaces was legendary. Whether along the boards, in front of the net, or squeezed between defenders, Datsyuk could find or create lanes that simply shouldn't have existed. What made these Dekes even more impressive was their effectiveness at the NHL level. This wasn't just fancy stick handling for show, these were moves that consistently beat the world's best goaltenders and defenders. His famous toe drag move against Boston in the 2014 playoffs, where he undressed both Zdeno Chara and Patrice Bergeron before scoring, showed that even the league's best defensive players weren't immune to his magic. Speaking of magic, Datsyuk's creativity with the puck went beyond just deking. His passing ability was equally extraordinary. He could thread needles that others couldn't even see, making plays that's impossible until the moment they happened. He had an uncanny ability to hold on to the puck just long enough for plays to develop, almost as if he could see a few seconds into the future. The numbers back up the highlights. Over his 953-game NHL career, Datsyuk accumulated 918 points, maintaining an impressive .96 points per game average. What makes these numbers even more remarkable is that he achieved them while playing elite defense in a defensive era. While contemporaries like Ovechkin and Crosby posted higher totals, they weren't tasked with shutting down opposing stars every night. His consistency was remarkable too. From 2005 to 2009, Datsyuk recorded 4 consecutive seasons of 87 or more points, including back-to-back 97-point campaigns in the 2007-08 and 2008-09 seasons. During this period, he was also winning Lady Byng trophies for sportsmanship 4 consecutive times from 2006 to 2009. Think about that combination. He was among the league's most effective players while also being one of its most gentlemanly. His clutch performances in Detroit Stanley Cup runs showcase his complete game. In 2002, he helped the Red Wings to victory as a rookie. By 2008, he was the team's offensive leader, posting 97 points in the regular season before adding 23 more in their championship playoff run. That same year, he led the NHL with a +41 rating, perfectly illustrating his two-way dominance. What's often overlooked about Datsyuk's playoff performances is how he elevated his game when it mattered most. In the 2008 Western Conference Finals, he recorded his first playoff hat trick against the Dallas Stars. In the finals against Pittsburgh, his playmaking was crucial, including 2 assists in the cup-clinching Game 6 victory. So why isn't Datsyuk mentioned more often in conversations about the all-time greats? His humble personality probably played a huge role. Unlike the magnetic Sidney Crosby or the charismatic Alexander Ovechkin, Datsyuk shied away from the spotlight. He let his play do the talking, which, while admirable, meant less media attention and marketing opportunities. Detroit's gradual decline didn't help either. As the Red Wings transitioned from perennial contenders to rebuilding mode, Datsyuk's brilliant plays received less national attention. By the time he left for the KHL in 2016, the Red Wings were no longer the force they once were, and many casual fans missed his final NHL season. The timing of his career also played a factor. Datsyuk's prime coincided with the rise of social media and highlight reel culture, but his subtle brilliance didn't always translate to viral clips. While other stars were making headlines with goal celebrations and personality-driven narratives, Datsyuk was quietly perfecting the art of complete game. His impact on the game, however, lives on through the next generation. Watch Florida Panthers star Alexander Barkov play, and you'll see shades of Datsyuk in his two-way excellence, particularly in his defensive positioning and puck protection skills. Datsyuk's legendary training techniques, especially his intricate stick-handling drills, continue to influence players today. His training methods were revolutionary in their own right. Datsyuk's stick-handling exercises, which often involved multiple pucks and complex patterns, have become standard practice for players looking to improve their hands. His emphasis on edge work and quick transitions has influenced how young players approach skill development. Yet despite his influence, Datsyuk often gets overlooked in discussions of NHL greats. While players like Kane and Ovechkin dominate highlight reels with their goal-scoring prowess, Datsyuk's more subtle brilliance, the perfectly timed stick lift, the impossible angle pass, the defensive read that prevented a scoring chance, didn't always make the top 10 plays. But consider this. Datsyuk achieved everything he did while playing in an era where scoring was down and defensive systems were at their peak. His point totals, while impressive on their own, are even more remarkable when you consider the defensive responsibilities he shouldered and the tactical nature of the game during his prime years. Perhaps most telling is how other players viewed him. In a league full of superstars, Datsyuk was consistently named by his peers as one of the hardest players to compete against. His combination of offensive creativity and defensive prowess made him a unique challenge. You couldn't just focus on stopping him from scoring because he was equally likely to strip you off the puck and start a play going the other way. It's time we give Pavel Datsyuk the credit he deserves, not just as a two-way genius, but as one of the greatest to ever play the game. Few players in NHL history have combined offensive creativity and defensive excellence the way he did, and even fewer maintain that level of play for so long. Hey, if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of hockey's most unique talents, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content celebrating the game's greatest players. And let us know your thoughts on Pavel Datsyuk in the comments below. Was he the most complete player you've ever seen? And what's your favorite Magic Man moment? Don't forget to check out one of my other videos right here, and I'll see you in the next one.